Busch right now in second. But if there's anybody that knows this racetrack and knows what he needs, Kyle Busch is won here 4 times in a truck.
And Ryan Newman sat on 6 Atlanta Motor Speedway poles. So there's a lot of great competition, and that tells you how great of a lap that was for James Buescher. Hornaday looked wiggly. He's been looking wiggly a lot lately. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Wiggly. Okay.
See him wiggling?
Wiggled again right there. Tried to get down to the bottom. He got that left front down to the yellow line, but by the time he got there, the back end switched out on him.
Well, let's not question his commitment. We just need to figure out how to get him to quit wiggling.
Let's go down to Hermie.
We got everybody's chasing right now. James Buescher, good lap for you guys. You think it'll hold up?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's a pretty good lap. A lot better than what we ran our mock qualifying run. You know, the guys work hard on this truck. We unloaded pretty bad, and everybody on this XI Batteries team
Degrees here in Nashville. As a matter of fact, we were told when we got here that Newton, Iowa, where we were last week, was the hottest place in the country.
In America.
In America. Unbelievable.
Owensboro, Kentucky, my hometown, had that honor It was
honor, dishonor.
It had that distinction a couple weeks ago. 124 was the heat index at Owensboro.
Boggy Creek Airboat rides on the side of B.J. McLeod Jr.'s number 78. Let's go back trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, we want to talk to Nelson P.K. Jr. Obviously glad to be back at Nashville after that great run last time. How's your truck today?
Truck is fine. We missed first practice. I got a little sick. I had to go into hospital, but I'm all fine now. So we lost our rookie set of tires, so we didn't do a mock run or anything like that. But I mean, I'm fairly confident the guys are going to do a good job qualifying after 2 laps. The tires are not soft enough not to be able to do 2 laps. I think we're going to get our second lap in. So qualifying in the top 5 will be important.
2 in the final practice, Phil. So he's got a really good truck. And good to see Joe Danette expanding the operation a little bit, bringing Elliott in. They're fellow Virginians, along with Jay White.
David Mayhew.
Whoa.
Got his hands full.
He was sideways, Phil, and he's got to make it on time.
He sure does. He's done a great job in Kevin Harvick's truck a couple times. 2 third-place finishes in that 2 truck.
29-year-old out of Tuscadero, California. David Mayhew, we saw him run quite a few of the West Series races.
He's not in the race yet, Rick. His time wasn't fast enough to beat J.J. Cobb.
See if he gets in on second lap. Does he move up? He does. He locks himself in. David Mayhew goes to 8th quick at 16.158.
You got to call.
3rd quickest on lap number 1 for Ricky at a 31.253. Needs about a 10th and a half to knock Josh Richards off the pole.
Saw in our opening, Ricky had a tough week last week in Iowa. Got in a couple accidents. The second one was terminal for that team.
A little quicker on lap number 2. Does not change positions. 31.168 for Ricky.
Now on the racetrack, Shane Sieg in the 93 truck. Shane's practice time of 32.064 is the reason he's going out 9th on the track.
You see Shane really high off turn 2 down there. That's the fun thing about this racetrack. The fastest way, it seems, is right down next to that yellow line. But if you can't get there, we talked about compromise. That's these drivers going out, moving around, giving the truck a little bit of room so that they don't get in trouble. And that's exactly what Shane did.
How about first lap? 31.860. So he's 0.2 of a second faster than he practiced on his first lap. Shane gets slotted in that number 1 position.
Shane has run every race this year except Daytona, the first race, and our last race at Iowa. But Daytona, he qualified for the race and stepped out so Cole Witt could get in his truck, and Cole ended up with a good finish. And that's one of the reasons that Cole Witt is where he is in points, I think, right now 3rd.
And what if James Buescher had did that at Phoenix?
If he would have had, his average finish this year is about 10th. If he would have finished 10th at Phoenix, he would be in 2nd. 2 points out of the lead right now if he would have finished 10th.
James ORP, that's intimidating to a driver. And I think it's, you know, it's tight confines. You run out near the wall on a short track in the turns. You don't usually do that. When you come off turn 2 right there, you're taller than the wall. And so it looks like you could run out into a cornfield when you exit off turn 2. This track, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but you watch this cat. 180 over to Brickyard, and he'll jump in this thing and be right up there.
He's probably 130 on the straightaway here, maybe 135. And I was telling Rick earlier, Great first lap, 22.560. That's only about a tenth of a second off Colin Brown's best lap. You don't think these guys are going fast? Stand by the wall down here about the start-finish line and tell me they're not going fast.
And it's a thrill ride as a race car driver to run a lap around this little bitty racetrack as fast as you go, like Phil said, and have to do it right out next to the wall. It's a thrill ride.
So close to knocking Colin Brown off the pole, but
Ran faster on that first lap, like I said they would.
Yeah, Clint really went a lot faster, 4 thousandths of a second faster.
This is Josh Richards. It'll be interesting to see. This kid's getting his feet under him, Phil. Real fast in practice today. He said, you know, we were over at Nashville. He said when he got down to turn 1, he wanted to crank her right and get the rear end hung out. Well, here in Atlanta, he's going to get a chance to do that. You're going to be sideways a lot tonight. Right now, though, I need to be turning hard left and wide open, and I think that's what Josh does. That's a good-looking lap right there.
Josh Richards across the stripe for his first lap, and he is 8th quick. 31.464. Again, the mark that they're shooting for is 31.195. And the little, I guess, friendly banter competition we've had up here in the booth between Michael and Phil has been which will be the fastest lap, the first lap or the second lap. It's about 50-50 right now, as we have just one truck still to go after Josh Richards. But I have to throw out the question, how do you count Joey Coulter?
He tied, didn't he? Here's the deal, Rick. You said 50-50. Of the first 14 trucks, 10 of them for him.
You know, you would think right now, Brennan, top of the board, he just beat Kyle Busch and Timothy Peters. You got to feel like you're in pretty good shape, right? Well, we've got 10 more trucks to go. They're all faster in practice.
Joey Coulter on the clock now as he works his Chevy Silverado, number 22, around this track.
That fast lap that Brennan ran was within a half a tenth of the fastest lap we saw all day in our 2 practice sessions.
Joey Coulter's lap 5th quick. His first one, 15.869. How does that rank against the fastest lap ever for a truck here? Ken Schrader has the track record set back in 2004 before the tapered spacers were put on the motors at 15.118 seconds.
That can't run that fast.
Not in a pickup track.
He did. Clay Greenfield, the next one on the clock in his number 27.
You could hear Clay back off the throttle, get back in the throttle, and that's going to hurt the lap time because the good trucks, the fast trucks, are going to be out here and run wide open. And that's amazing, really.
Yes,
I mean, you will run faster here in your qualifying lap than you will at Daytona. You'll average maybe a tick faster at Daytona. The pole this year at Daytona was 179 and change. This pole may not be quite that fast, but you're going to enter the corner here faster than you would at Daytona, and you're going to have to turn left when you get down to the end of these straightaways.
Yeah, and at Daytona, you got 2.5 miles to get around. That's a lap. Here, it's 1.5 miles. So we're going to up the speed, we're going to go faster, and then we're going to condense the track. Go make it be a sharper turn. That's what these guys and gals are faced with here today.
Charlie Vest is about 500 yards away from locking himself into this show if he can stay in front of Clay Greenfield. Across the stripe goes Greenfield. Does he pick it up?
Almost a half a second, but he stays third, and that will lock Charles Vest into this field.
Really making it worse now. I would not be surprised to see NASCAR say, okay, you're done in this session.
Yeah, exactly. Kennedy beginning now on his first flying lap, and no one else has moved from pit lane. You see the 19, Tyler Reddick, went out and came back immediately in.
And that's perfectly legal to do that. He can go back up and line up with his left sides against the white line, or as close as you can get to it. He may not have enough room to get to it.
Only 4 of the top 12 have scored a series pole, so there's a good chance that we could have a brand new pole sitter, but you got to get out on the racetrack to do it. And that's exactly what Ben Kennedy is doing.
2 minutes left in this session. Ben Kennedy said, I'm going to put me a lap in. We saw Ryan Blaney, I believe it was Michigan last year. He was the only truck in this last round to even get a timed lap, and he got the pole.
So Kennedy, only one out there turning laps, and the clock is at 1 minute and 40 seconds to go in this session.
I would guess what
had a guy hit the wall, had another guy almost hit the wall, and all that's just in qualifying by yourself. You don't see that every week.
19 trucks have been out on the track. Right.
You know, last week at the racetrack, we had a sponsor that was very apropos. Ron Hornaday had Champion on his hood, and this week you have Goof Off. That seems like a good match.
That says it all. I mean, that's what they were saying. What kind of, I mean, you got a sponsor, you're sponsoring the truck, you got your own hood, Matt. But I think this Menard Chevy is actually really good. We didn't do a really good mock run today, but I think we got a pretty good race truck for tonight.
It'll be interesting to see how these Thor Sport guys qualify and how they approach the race tonight here at Bristol.
That's right. And Crafton strapping into his race truck as we see Justin Lofton completing his qualifying effort. Lofton 13th quick at 16.197. Only 20 have been on the.
I really believe this is a truck we're going to have to keep an eye on. Qualifying possibly, but certainly tonight in the race. This is a car that Kevin Harvick did for S&S Greenlight Racing. Chad McCumbie's been very, very fast in practice. He was the 3rd quickest car overall in this final practice this morning.
One of the amazing things this season, and qualifying becomes so much more important, and that's why we're showing it to you here on Speed, but in the Truck Series, only one race of the 15 this season has been won from outside a top 10 starting position, and that was earlier this year, Michigan, where Colin Brown started 12th. So that's the furthest back anyone has started and won a race this year.
And there's a new track record right there.
We got a new one. You know, I think there should be a bell or a whistle every time we break the track record.
Ding.
Okay. We'll work on our sound effects.
We knew that truck was going to be strong, like you said, Phil. He had a really good practice both yesterday and today, and then shooting down underneath the white line, that's allowed. There's not an out of bounds in qualifying here. You can race all over the place as well, and guess what? He breaks his own track record.
Went out there and got that second. And now we see the 66 has made it onto the track. This is Chris Cochran.
See him attempting to make his first Truck Series race. He is locked in the field. This is the second truck out of turn 1 stable. A little bit high exiting turn 2 there. Chris has a little bit of experience in the ARCA Racing Series. First time ever here in the truck though.
We've seen Chris before on Speed, calling some of those ARCA races.
We need some speed out of you, Chris. Let's get on it. He's going up high on the track. I guess that thing just isn't quite handling the way he wants it to, Phil.
Yeah, he really struggled in practice, I thought. I was watching him out there, and right now he's the slowest truck so far at a 34.534 on lap number 1.
I'd like to be right next to that yellow line. If I'm qualifying one of these trucks, I pull my belts tight, grab 4th gear, maybe run a little high coming to the green, but on my time lap, I got to be right on that yellow line. I think that's what you see the fast trucks later do. Don't you agree, Phil?
Absolutely, yeah.
I was down in the infield earlier today watching the trucks go through the corners, and they just run wide open, foot right on the floorboard, right next to the yellow line. That's how they were making their mock qualifying runs, the guys that made those.
And we see Chris Cochran drift up the racetrack from that yellow line in his qualifying effort. His second lap just a bit slower than his first. So he is 4th quick.
35. We got to dig it. Just dig it.
Looks like our clock might be out of sync by just 2 seconds, which means I don't see these guys making it back.
I know we have one truck that's going to make it around before the red flag, and maybe only one truck. And here he is coming to the line right now. Ryan Blaney will get a time.
And it looks like Ryan Blaney will be your pole sitter.
Not going to make it. Nobody's going to make it. Just you.
Yeah.
That is the craziest thing I have ever seen.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
You don't even need to run a lap. You don't even need to just coast. You're fine. Your speed is irrelevant. You're the only truck that took time.
That's amazing.
I just don't know what to say.
There's a lot of smart people
We'll take a poll.
on pit road, in the spotter stand.
So let's slow down here. You can coast.
Between everybody,
coast, man. Just
Joey,
coast your stuff.
Ryan Blaney, Joey Meyer, and Chad Kendrick were the only guys to even get a time.
And did you hear Joey Meyer? We got to go. We're not going to make it.
Clap right there, buddy.
Well, you were saying it. You said they're not going to make it.
Right there.
In as we put you in the middle of all the racing excitement for the Brickyard. Speed's live coverage from Indianapolis begins next Friday at 1 Eastern.
Such an amazing place with so much history. This year was the 100th anniversary of the Indy 500. We've been going up there, what now, over 15 years. 94 was the first Cup race up at the Brickyard. And what an amazing place.
Right.
The whole town just is all about racing here for this whole weekend.
Big announcement: the Nationwide Series and Grand Am will also race at the big track, race at the Brickyard next year. David Starr goes to the top of the charts.
And he was wiggling doing it, Rick. Truck was sideways, but yet he still got a solid lap.
First one to break the 31-second mark on his first lap, 30.993. There's one more driver that has to get in on time. That's Elliott Sadler. He's scheduled to go out 34th. So we would expect Elliott, if he runs a respectable lap, to be able to get in, and that would then knock Jennifer Jo Cobb out of this race.
Yeah, as Michael said earlier, she's on the bubble, been on the bubble for a long time. Johnny Sauter's truck looks pretty good. You know, one thing we haven't mentioned, and we heard David Starr talking about the racetrack being slick. The modifieds were on this racetrack just before this qualifying session for the trucks, as Johnny Sauter goes up to second on lap number 1. And that's a little bit different rubber than what these trucks. Sometimes the difference in rubber will make the racetrack a little bit slick. And remember, the modified race follows us right here on speed, so these guys will have to start this race tonight after the modifieds run their race.
The 13 of Johnny Sauter picks it up on lap number 2, but not enough. Timothy Peters still fastest, and he is at the top of that pole, as you guys were talking about. Will Timothy Peters upset Joey Coulter? He's the next truck on the racetrack.
What's our record? 15?
15. We've done that 3 different times. As we're closing in on the final trucks, we'd have to break the record. All 3 of the last trucks would have to break that pole mark.
And that's exactly what should happen if you go by practice. Each one of these trucks coming up were progressively faster in practice, so let's see if Peters can start it out here.
Timothy Peters' first lap, 30.801, so he has got to pick up almost 0.2 of a second.
And that's been common, Rick. We've seen a lot of trucks pick up that 0.2 of a second you're talking about.
That wasn't the fastest first lap we've seen, but that was a faster first lap than Joey Coulter ran. So he certainly has a shot at it. Talked to Timothy in the garage area. Really, really happy with this 17 truck.
And really likes Nashville. He's a big fan of this racetrack, as we heard him earlier say when he was running with Bobby Hamilton. This felt like a home track. Does he get it on lap 2? No, actually slows down just a bit. 30.801, his time of record, so without getting into the wall at Bristol.
Even Kyle Busch got into the wall a little bit.
Blake Beast took that truck back to the start-finish line, Rick. He did that to get his momentum back up so he could make a strong run at the white flag.
This will be considered his first lap, which will be extremely long.
Complete the first lap.
There.
It's going to be fairly slow. 102 seconds.
Yeah, he averaged 18.75 miles per hour around the racetrack.
This one's going to be better.
Well, you assume it is.
Yeah. Still got to get through this end.
There's another couple turns he needs to make, and after spinning out the first time, he's not going to have his foot heavily into the gas, I wouldn't think. No, he's the slowest truck, 17.07. He averaged 112 miles an hour. He picked up his average almost 100 miles an hour, though. That's pretty good.
Hard to win from 15th.
Be lucky to finish in the top 10 from back there.
We saw Miguel Paludo coming off the racetrack. He's second quick now. Matt Crafton still has the fastest time around here at 31.433. Miguel Paludo went 31.582 in his qualifying run. And now it's smiling David Starr on the racetrack.
Only 3 times in the history of this racetrack has the winner come from outside the top 10.
Go tell Jason, don't tell me.
David Starr, one of 5 drivers that have raced all 11 previous races at this racetrack. This will be the 12th race here at Atlanta for the Camping World Truck Series, and we've had some fantastic finishes at this track.
Never knew who was going to be the winner till they came off of turn number 4.
Yeah, one of the top 5 closest margins of victory happened right here at Atlanta, and we always expect great finishes. David Starr hoping for a better finish, as he is 7th quick in his first lap, 31.887.
What about this team's roll, though, Rick? In the last 7 races, only 1 finish worse than 11th. He had a 3rd place finish in that run, too. So,
but out after Max, it is there, and that's what they have to all abide by. David Starr now on the track in the Advocare Toyota Tundra.
I almost have to consider, though, if the wall wasn't there, you wouldn't hit it either.
That's true. That's true.
I would feel sorry for some of the people in the first row, though. David Starr 3rd quick on his first lap, 15.992. Lap number 2 quickest for Starr.
It belongs to Christopher Bell, and here he is.
And the fastest of the weekend. His lap in round 1 was the fastest lap that we've seen by anybody.
And everybody's, for the most part, has picked up a little bit from round 1 to round 2, and if Bell does that, he's going to win pole. But
look how close it is.
Crafton's like, no, please, no. I want this pole.
Boy, it's too close to call. Within a couple hundredths of a second right now. Going the wrong direction. It looks like Crafton may have it.
Oh, Bell, third quickest. Matt Crafton is your pole winner.
In victory lane. We had a picture earlier of that.
Every time I come across the border into Tennessee and it says Tennessee, it reminds me of my brother used to always say, with the success at the short track in Nashville and the one here in Bristol, Tennessee, he would always say, you know, if you come to Tennessee, you're going to have to follow me. That was Daryl's catchphrase.
One of his catchphrases.
Yeah, he had a few.
Yeah.
You know, Timothy Peters has won at some of our more historic racetracks. I wonder if this is on his bucket list of places he's got to get to victory lane, right?
Well, let's find out. His last 4 races are a first, a second, a third, and a 10th. This team's really been on a roll, Timothy, but how hard do you push this thing in qualifying when the truck hasn't even been on the track?
We push it to the limit. Everybody at Red Horse Racing here at the track and at the shop do a great job giving us stunters. Hated that I put ourselves in that predicament earlier today, but
driver change in the 74, at least for qualifying. Brian Weber was supposed to be in the 74. Now it's Rick Crawford, series veteran and owner of Mobile Raceway in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah. Former winner here at this very racetrack.
He's got her wound up too. That was a good exit off turn 2. Got in the gas early and the thing stuck. So Rick looks like he's on a good lap.
Sure does.
Now, did he run it at all yesterday, or is he hopping in this thing cold turkey?
I saw Rick standing in the pits yesterday and talked to him while the first practice was going on. So I know he didn't get in the truck the first practice. I'm not sure about the second practice, but we don't believe he got into a truck at all.
A darn good first lap, though, for Rick, a 20.216. That beats all the other Go homers. That means that he's beaten 6 of the 7 that he needs to. See if he picks it up on lap number 2. A little bit slower, about a 1/10 of a second slower on lap number 2 for Rick, but he's beaten 6 of the Go homers. So now, right now, Rick Crawford, if he beats 1 more, also
that's correct.
A late addition.
David Stremme also involved with NBS 24/7. Chad Chaffin now on the clock.
They're really going to follow with Joy 24/7. That could get pretty interesting.
I believe that's reality TV.
Yeah, wow. That could be big.
Michael had mentioned that following Randy LaJoy is a show in itself.
Chad Chaffin was the 7th quickest truck in practice, the second practice this afternoon. Pretty good lap, 49.91. That's about 4/10 of a second slower than what he had practiced at earlier today.
Just over 180 miles an hour, and the Bobby Hamilton Racing team has done pretty well here in Daytona as far as finding speed when it comes time to race.
Watching you guys on your morning broadcast, I think Bobby said that they'd run like 1,600 laps with these trucks between Daytona and Talladega. So they concentrated primarily on race stuff, but you know there was some qualifying effort put in there a little bit, and you know those trucks will be right there starting and finishing this race.
And a lot of the things they do, even if they're working on race stuff, a lot of the stuff they do is going to carry over to qualifying. If they tweak a piece of metal on the truck and it makes it go faster in race trim, then it's going to make it go faster in qualifying trim also.
The windshield, you can see it there on Cole Custer's truck. It's just really tough to see here at Atlanta with the way the angle the sun hits these bank turns. So those guys have all that tape on the windshield to help them with their vision.
Especially this afternoon when we start this race around 4:30. And the thing is, you have to put that tape there now because these trucks will be impounded. So what you want this afternoon, you're going to have to put there now. And Cole Custer, I know what he wants, a fast truck, and it looks like he has it.
And a 31.12 in the first round. Let's see what kind of pickup he gets. It's enough. 31.03, fastest of the 4 to go.
But we're going to have 2 cup practices. We already have 1. We've got this qualifying session, and as Michael pointed out, it looks like the racetrack is taking some rubber now, and that could create a little more fall off in these tires, more so than these guys saw yesterday.
A couple of great stories here late in this first round. Up to 7th place, Ross Chastain in that 60.
It's not. He was scheduled. Chris Cochran was scheduled to come out in the 66. This is going to be the 09 of Charlie Vest.
Charlie Vest also carrying the Rockingham Speedway banner on the back of his truck, like we saw with the 99 of Wayne Edwards.
Charles, another one of the trucks that has to qualify his way in on time.
You know, surprisingly in qualifying this year, it has been dominated by the Chevys as far as manufacturers go. Chevys have won 14 of the 16 poles. Toyota has only won the other 2. So a pretty
really
dominant
really
performance this year as far as qualifying goes. Now, how does that translate into racing? It's dead even between the 2 manufacturers. They've both won 8 races of the 16 that have been run.
Well, this is going to break the tie here tonight.
We'll call this the first tiebreaker.
What if Dodge wins?
It might not break the tie.
And Parker
or
Kligerman.
Ford.
Or Ford with Colin Brown.
We have on the clock right now with Charles Vest. 33.567. He's second quick.
He needs to pick it up that little bit and get around Norm Benning, I think, Phil, so he knows he's locked in the I mean, that will pretty much guarantee him a spot. Not quite yet, but if I'm ahead of everybody that's gone before me, I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, if I can beat the 2 of the and remember, you know, each subsequent truck has run faster in practice than the truck before that. So right now Charles knows he needs a good lap in because everybody else going out after him has run better than he did in practice.
Charles' second lap. Does he pick it up? Yeah, he does. Goes to the top of the chart. So Charles Vest now quickest in this qualifying session. 33.285.
Okay, we've got the front grip now. Didn't have enough rear grip, and that's what we talk about, that compromise. Most of these trucks, when you try to put them in qualifying trim, as you were talking about Ron Hornaday with his track bar all the way down on the right side, what limited adjustments you can make typically aren't quite enough. And that was the situation with Brendan's truck. Didn't quite get tight enough.
I always found that it was really hard to get both ends to do right. You know, you can master one or the other, but unfortunately you need them both, and that's what Brendan was trying to explain, and he did it in a very kind fashion to his crew. You got one end good, but not so much the other.
Blake Feast on the racetrack now. The word I always hear is balance. That if the truck is balanced or it's neutral, so that it's not too much front or rear that you're dealing with.
And that was what Brendan was talking about. He didn't have the balance. His truck was a little bit too free. He didn't have the rear grip to match the front grip.
Fifth quick for Blake Feast on lap number 1, 31.352. Over 153 miles per hour. That's the average. You mentioned upwards of 170 going down the straightaway before they get into the turn.
Yeah, and every time I think about it, Rick, that's in a pickup truck, darn it. I mean, that is amazing that NASCAR has come up with pickup trucks that can run 170 miles an hour, maybe even 175 on a 1.3 mile oval. Now, you can't draw that on paper and figure it out, I don't think. It's amazing.
Blake goes up to 4th quick field and be able to win this race from the back. Now Brendan gone on the racetrack. Brendan, one of those drivers who will run wherever the other trucks aren't.
Yeah, and
normally it's up high.
He prefers to go high. And this truck, Phil, is conducive to running that high line. You can go up there and make some good time. You can see there's some rubber and some debris, it looks like, almost in that second groove. But Brendan will go up there later.
He talked about he liked that truck, and right now to the top of the charts he goes.
He went up there right now. 15.797. Lap number 1 for Brendan gone. Confidence has got to be high for that young man. His second lap just a little bit slower, but 15.797 of the 28 that have been on the track.
Couldn't you just feel it?
Daniel Hemrick in the 19 out of the Brad Keselowski Racing stable.
We did a little thing on the hub a few weeks ago, and you put him in one of your top 4 guys to race for this championship.
And there's a couple of reasons why I strongly feel that way still. I love listening to Daniel talk about his relationship with his crew chief, Chad Finney. They're just on the same page. They talk about every detail of this truck. He said when practice was over yesterday, he said, I can't wait to get with Chad tonight and figure out how we're going to tune on our truck. So this is a great combo, I think. Brad Keselowski's providing them with all the parts and pieces it's going to take to be champion. He's going to be a contender all year long. And it looks like he's going to run in the O's too, just like everyone else.
Oh, wait. 31.08, 4th quickest. Chad Kendrick saying that Daniel's just
advanced to round 2, and those 12 will run for the pole. Back downstairs to Allen.
And Parker Kligerman, we're walking down pit road right here. Always a threat on the restrictor plate tracks. Last time I talked to you, there was something under the hood, or you were checking it out. You weren't sure what was going on. Did you figure it out?
Yeah, it looked like we had a little issue in the fuel system, so it wasn't the motor. You know, these Ilmor motors have been great to us. They seem to have a lot of power. They're really fast, but we got that issue fixed, so we just got to go out here and qualify for one lap and hopefully get this thing in the show. And then I think we got a great race truck for tonight. It's going to be an interesting race. You got a lot of guys that are choosing speed over handling. They set up their trucks, they're trimming them out a lot, so we didn't go that way, so hopefully we have enough speed to get in, and then we can race them with the handling that we have.
He's looking for a second straight plate win. Hermie?
Well, Alan, this is Noah Gregson. Same numbers last year, but basically, other than that, a brand new team for you. But how do you feel different as a driver coming and starting this season, having a year under your belt?
It's huge to have a year under my belt and to go to these racetracks and just have the experience and just building a notebook, really just going to these different racetracks. I have all my notes from last year, and I can build on that for this year and to be
on lap number 2.
Now Kyle Busch, a guy who we always expect to challenge for a pole on the racetrack, so we'll see how he does. While he's running his qualifying run, let's go down to Hermie.
Well, Miguel Paludo, I know you said it was wide open, so he had to drive pretty good. What did you see in qualifying that gives you an idea that you'll have a good truck for tonight's race?
Yeah, truck was neutral, wide open. So, you know, practice was a little tricky because track changed so much. It was so hot today. And, you know, it's hard to find where you at. So, you know, I think we had a pretty good lap. My truck was really good. We practiced a lot race stream. So it should be a fun race. You know, let's see how the new tires will be a key here. And I think we got a shot to have a really good finish tonight.
If there's a vote for a driver that's getting most improved in the middle part of this season, this guy would have to be in the running for that, Ray.
Well, let's hear from Ron Hornaday. He's got the winning truck from Texas, and he's a former winner at Atlanta. So, Ron, you got a winning truck today?
We'll see. You know, practice during the day and race at night. Got a lot of adjustments.
Dry sense of humor, funniest cats I know. And he was talking one night. Darrell had a rough day, rough night here. His car was messed up. He didn't have many of those. He had one of them. Terry came on the radio and called his spotter and said, "Hey man, how many of them 17 cars are out here anyway?" Because every time he'd make a lap, it seemed like he was passing my brother again. So Terry explains how tight it is here and how tough it is, and you can't hide. There is no way to get out of the way.
Top 5 for Austin Dillon. 16.022 on lap number 1. We'll see if he can improve on that on lap 2. He does pick it up just a bit on lap number 2. Goes to 16.005 or 4th quick.
Now with a bunch of top 10 finishes, good things happen in the points as well.
Let's go trackside to Ray Dunlap.
All right, Jason White walking down the pit road here, getting ready to jump in his Gunbroker truck. And his crew chief, Chad Kendrick, sitting at home serving a suspension. I'm just wondering how much have you talked to Chad on the phone today?
Well, we did a little bit of phone, but we had Skype. So after practice, we'd get on there, and he could see me, and I could see him. That was a pretty cool tool to use today. So we went over everything, and I think we got this Gunbroker.com truck pretty good here. Bristol was a little bit of a bummer last week, but hopefully we can rebound this week in Atlanta.
Now, what did he look like on Skype? Was he sitting?
K Jr. on the racetrack now in his Qualcomm number 8.
Phil, look at the nose of this truck as he comes up off the corners. Down low, but look at it fly up. You're all about some mechanical grip here at Bristol. The nose down in the corner to get that grip, and then the shocks are soft enough where it can fly up. See how high it is up off the track?
We never see that on a 1.5-mile racetrack.
If we were just about anywhere else except Martinsville, you would not see that. You need that nose pin. That just tells you what a different animal this Bristol track is for these guys.
Second quick for Nelson Piquet Jr. on lap number 1, 15.741. Can he pick up a 1/10 of a second on lap number 2 and knock Elliott Sadler off the top?
It's awful high down there in 1.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Slows down.
Yeah.
So Elliott Sadler still on top. He's with his brother.
Teams and the nationwide teams and the truck teams will go after practice and look at Hill. He may compare his lap to maybe the fastest lap that we saw by Johnny Sauter.
Right.
Say, okay, see Johnny drove in a little bit harder here, or he's a little bit lower, a little bit higher, and they can, as Hermie said, absolutely transpose. You start even at the start-finish line, and then each lap is transposed over the other lap all the way around the racetrack.
And you know the cool thing about, I was talking to Rick Grin, he said when he got him up in the trailer and started looking at Dartfish, following what the truck was doing, and I see this out of rookie after rookie, he said he gets in the corner the same distance as the fast guys. He can run right in the corner with Johnny Sauter, but when he gets there, Johnny goes, and Josh is waiting. He doesn't know what to do.
And they have really had to pound it hard at Thorsport to get ready to go. Bailey Curry, top of the board, and now the 15 of Robbie Lyons is out on track. Hermie? Alan?
Yeah, Vince, it's we're here. John Hunter Nemechek, not full-time in the Truck Series, but always a threat when you get in that truck. You're coming off your Xfinity Series debut, though, and it was a top 5 after a lot of adversity. How valuable was that experience?
It's very valuable. I know jumping from the Xfinity car back into the truck this weekend, the truck almost feels slow motion. So definitely looking forward to tonight. Our guys have prepared really good. Nimco Motorsports Chevy Silverado, I feel like. So it ran good in the draft yesterday. We're running around this place almost wide open for a whole fuel run. So
currently on the clock right now, David Starr in the Spears Manufacturing number 75. That Chevrolet's been struggling a little bit today. They have not been able to find the speed.
I talked to Dave McCarty, crew chief, right after the second practice session. I said, what seems to be the problem? He says, we have absolutely no idea. He said, we ran a 50-40 here testing, and we can't run faster than a 50-80 no matter what we do. So he said, we really don't know. We said, I told David, we have what we have. We're going to do the best we can. And gosh, what a pickup. Whatever, he must have found something. They picked up to 49.831.
I talked to David, too, and it's like, we can make it go slower, but we can't make it go any faster. And just seemed really, really buffaloed about what was wrong.
They just picked up 3 miles an hour.
That's a full second faster than David had run in practice. So
now's the time to do it.
Absolutely. So they may have, they may have found a problem. You never know. They were going to look everything over to see if there was any sort of problem, and maybe they found one. And here it is. That's a really good lap, and I'm sure they've got to be elated.
So you can get so many things here that can just really affect the car at this racetrack and slow it down substantial. And that team has the knowledge and the experience that when they go through it, all getting ready to qualify, they get a good chance of finding something.
A year ago, the Chevys complained that they were a little bit behind the 8 ball as far as the front.